Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm just going to be doing a nice quick little video today talking about the new artifact set the two new artifact sets that were teased in the 2.3 special program, how resin efficient that's going to be, and whether they're any good. So let's get into it. So first, let's look at the Husk of Opulent Dreams, the top one. This is the set that is very obviously designed for Itto. 2 pieces, a plus 30 defense, and the 4 piece is essentially a stacking Geo and defense buff, stacks up to 24% at max, and if you don't do anything within 6 seconds, you lose a stack. But how this ends up working out essentially is that as long as your character is constantly doing off-field damage, you can generate the stacks. You do get the stacks quicker if you are the on-field unit, so maybe there's an argument of stacking up and then swapping beforehand, but that's testing. More importantly here is this is our first defense statted 2 piece, so this means that any character and any future character that scales off defense, regardless of Geo or not, probably wants this 2 piece. At the moment, I think the only defense scaler we have outside of a Geo character is Jin Yan. I'm not exactly sure where this fits in with her best in slot, because, like, yeah, it's kind of alright if you want a thicker shield, but you kind of don't you just want to build it for more damage, so wouldn't a 2-2 blood Heart of or Pale Flame and Bloodstain be better for her? But more importantly, this looks like it's going to be the new 4 set for definitely Albedo and probably Itto and possibly Goro too, or Goro might just want the 2 piece. Depends how he ends up working out exactly. But yeah, I think this set ends up being pretty good, especially for Itto. It's actually not as big of a deal as it is for Albedo, even though the set is obviously really good on him. It's just that Itto could use something like, I don't know, something like Shimenawa or something like Gladiator, whereas Albedo has basically no sets that really give him a big bonus. But both this is going to be great on them. The other thing that's annoying, though, obviously, is because you probably want a 2-piece on Goro, at least. Or possibly you run Goro and Noblesse instead. That's a possibility. But you, at the very least, are going to want this on Albedo and Itto if you're going for that kind of team. So that means you're going to need 2 good sets of this, and that can be a little bit of a problem. Now let's look at this bottom set, which is for Kokomi, which this one has a massive wall of text, but the 2 pieces healing bonus. And essentially what it does is whenever you overheal, it essentially creates a little like bomb, essentially it's called, on the field. And then after an amount of time, the bomb blows up and does damage. The max amount of HP it can have is 30,000, and it does damage equal to 90% of accumulated healing. So it sounds like it could do 90% of that 30k, and this can trigger every 3.5 seconds. So what's important to notice is that this triggers even when the character not using it is off the field, which sounds good until you realize is there really anybody. So in order for this to be good, right, you have to do enough healing off field to get more value out of this than, say, a 20% attack buff from Millelith or Noblesse or something like that. And I don't realistically see a world where this is humanly possible at 30,000 HP. So even if this does 30,000 damage every 3.5 seconds, not only would you obviously be needing to do an absolute insane amount of healing over like around 10k HPS, in order for this to work, you would need an absolute insane amount of healing. But assuming you even could do that, you only would be getting another, 8k DPS out of this, which sounds really good. But a lot of times, if you give a Millelith or a Noblesse buff to your main character, a lot of times you can, circumvent that. So let's first think really quickly, who could use this, right? Because you need to have a massive amount of overhealing for this to really work. So options are like Kokomi, Bennett, Chi-Chi. Some people say Barbara, but because of how much overhealing you need to actually get good damage, I actually don't think this will be a very good Barbara thing. Not very good for Jean. Any of the Anemo healers obviously don't really want this. They prefer to have themselves some VV. Noelle prefers the Husk of Opulent Dreams set instead because she obviously scales with defense and geo damage, and she herself isn't really even a healer. So the only real people you can justify running this on are Bennett, Kokomi, and Chi-Chi, really. Bennett, obviously, being a buffer already, makes way more sense to run him on a Noblesse and If you could trigger a Vaporize on his ult, you can build him for damage and he'll still heal. So I would argue that even Bennett is a little bit of a... I wouldn't run this on Bennett. But so let's think about Chi-Chi here for a second. So Chi-Chi is a possibility where if you heal enough, it does this. But again, I don't think this is better than just running her on, like, say, a Millilith set, because her E constantly swirls around her and it would constantly trigger the Millilith effect. I don't think this is better than that. I really don't. You have to do so much healing per second in order to get really good value out of this set. And similar with Kokomi, where I think, again, you're better off just building her for a buff set. And if you want to use her as your damage unit, you're not building this set anyway. You're going to build Hearted Depths because it's a much bigger buff. It's that 35% after using E plus 15% Hydro damage. It's a much bigger buff. So I think this bottom set here is actually kind of dead on arrival. Unless there's any point in which you need so much healing that you want the 2-piece from this and like the 2-piece from Maiden's Beloved. But I think as a healing set, Maiden's Beloved might even be better if you really need healing that badly. Like, Maiden's is just better because this is essentially trying to turn a healer into a damage dealer, when we have sets that already essentially let healers give their parties a lot of damage and give a lot more than this. Like, obviously, any VV healer, this isn't close. Like, VV is way more valuable than this. It's not close. But even, like, Noblesse or Tenacity is probably much better. Obviously, you have to test it, but I am almost certain that you need an insane amount of HPS for this to be even competitive with Noblesse and Tenacity with any amount of decent uptime. But yeah, I think because of this, though, this domain, while really cool, we're getting these 2 new sets that are both pretty good. It's going to be a little sad because I think this domain is really ineffective, because realistically, like I said, there's 3-4 characters that want this, you know. Noelle, Albedo, Itto all want that Husk Opulent Dreams 4-piece, you know. So get you, you know, a set of that. And Goro maybe wants the 2-piece, or maybe he wants, you know, maybe he wants the 4-piece too. So maybe, I hope he doesn't want the 4-piece too, because it'd be really sad if the Itto team ended up essentially being, hey, go farm 4 sets of this new thing, right? Or like 3 sets of this new artifact. That would just be so rough to get good subs on. And I fully expect for the first month or 2, you should probably just use whatever you already have that has better substats, because it's got to take you forever to get 3 or 4 sets of this to make a good Itto team. But that's just a brief rundown of these 2 artifact sets. Overall, I think they're cool. I like niche artifacts that kind of empower certain characters. I think they're generally a lot more fun than kind of generic character ones. But it's hard to argue that because resin is limited, generic artifacts are generally going to be a lot better for the game, and a lot more like resin efficient. Like, this is probably the most resin inefficient domain. It's between this and the Retracing Bolide domain. It's between these 2, because like there's like 4 characters that want these sets. Now the top set's very good on the characters who want them, but still, it's kind of rough. If you're not an E domain, I wouldn't expect you to be spending too much time in this domain, but it's cool that at least they're trying to make artifacts themed around some of the characters in the game, or themed around empowering some of the more specific characters in the game, instead of just giving us some more powerful sets. I think they kind of learned their lesson whenever they made the freeze artifacts and suddenly turned, like, Kaya from a support to like a 10th place DPS or something instantly overnight, and created Morgana and Ayaka teams suddenly being able to freeze and destroy content because of the insane crit buff. But who knows, maybe they'll let another they won't test another one well enough, and they'll let another broken artifact set slip through, and we'll get to have some real fun interactions. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you're excited for 2.3, because I'm kind of excited for 2.3 to see where everything's going, and I've been kind of looking for Albedo myself personally, so it'll be a lot of fun. I hope you have good luck in your pools. I hope you come back.